Poland is a long ways from Iowa, and that may leave Jeb Bush feeling better tonight. The former governor has not declared that he's running, but he is testing out his presidential look on that European tour. And on the campaign trail back home, he's now trailing everyone from Scott Walker to Ben Carson in those current Iowa polls. And that may be why the would-be frontrunner is planning a more aggressive tack. Bush and his allies are now preparing plans to attack the records and experience of his GOP competition, especially Senators Marco Rubio and Rand Paul, plus Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker. That, according to a new Washington Post report. When you get down to it, running for president boils down to about 4 challenges: media, retail politicking, the campaign management itself, and that whole acting presidential thing, showing you can credibly step into the Oval Office on day one. Jeb's press tour so far has been rocky.
Knowing what we know now, would you have authorized the invasion?
I would have.
You would? How did you blow that? Jeb, for real, considering your last name, how are you not ready for questions about Iraq?
That's pretty fair, and it took 4 more days for him to get a final answer ready.
I would have not engaged. I would not have gone into Iraq.
Say with clarity what you believe, and if you make a mistake, clean it up quicker rather than later.
It took him, what, 3 tries before he finally got it right. That's the kind of thing that you can't afford in a presidential campaign.
And those are the conservative commentators. Meanwhile, Bush's presidential foreign tour has left him looking a little off guard with the press and juggling his meetings with foreign leaders with questions about his new campaign shakeup this week.
Governor, can you say why you replaced your campaign manager?
Tomorrow, when we have our press availability.
Was something not working properly?
No, everything's great.
just on the move there. Now then, here is what he told NBC's Chris Jansing at that press availability today.
Just to be clear here, we don't have an organization for a campaign for president until the candidate announces. So I would discount a little bit of these kind of changes until I look into a camera and say that I'm a candidate. So hopefully that'll be coming soon if it's to come. So, but I'm excited about the team that is working the Right to Rise PAC.
So that's coming soon, if it's coming at all, if you can follow that. You know, many politicos have asked, why are there just so many Republicans running for president right now, 16 by some counts? Well, maybe it's because many Republicans know what Jeb Bush apparently does not. Leading the pack in fundraising does not make you the front runner, and with Bush stumbling, this race is wide open. Let's get right to it now with the New York Times' Nick Confessore, Blake Zeff, who worked on the Obama and Clinton campaigns and is the new editor-in-chief for Cafe.com, launching this fall, and Mother Jones' David Corn, who's also an MSNBC political analyst. Good evening, everybody. David, what is wrong with Jeb Bush's pseudo-non-candidacy at this point?
Well, you know, when you have people at those press availabilities laughing in your face, that's an issue right there. You know, a lot of people discounted the fact that Jeb Bush has not run a campaign in a long time since he was governor in the early aughts in Florida, and the way the media and campaign life has changed in the last decade, you have to really be on top of your game. And I was talking to one Bush loyalist who said, listen, the guy just keeps blowing it every time he talks about an important issue, whether it's Common Core, immigration, or the war in Iraq, and he just doesn't seem to have the touch. And raising a lot of money, which he is doing, maybe not as much as he said, is not scaring anybody off these days, because all anyone has to do in the post-Citizens United world is just get their own billionaire. And there are enough billionaires, apparently, to go around, and even one might join the race. So he hasn't scared anybody off, and he hasn't performed in a way to impress anyone. I can only imagine what Barbara Bush is saying these days.
Yeah, well, we could put her on that list of conservative critics if she would speak publicly, I'm sure. And Barbara, you're welcome to come on The Last Word if you're watching. I know she's a regular viewer. Nick, I want to read to you another conservative, Laura Ingraham, in the Washington Post, because you don't have to look very far to find these critiques. She says, look, the Bushes have always underestimated the depth of the base's dissatisfaction with their policies, and they take the criticism personally. Jeb has to try to understand the reasons why conservatives have problems with him instead of crowing about how principled he is. I thought this was interesting because regardless of where you come down on, is he a good candidate, would he be good for America, I think it's fair to say objectively that he doesn't seem, in his own mind, in his own analysis, to think he has to earn this from the base. He seems to want a level of deference that I don't know that voters are giving him right now.
I think you're right. Look, it was, looking back, the amount of presumption, right? I'm going to come in, I'm going to steer this party. I'm going to take it by the neck. I'm going to drag it to where it should be on education, on immigration. I haven't been in office for 10 years. I sat out the Tea Party. To come in and say I'm going to do those things without having this organic tie, and to say the kind of mechanism is to raise the most money and take all the oxygen out of the room. Can you imagine the fury and resentment that must cause in sub-precincts of his own party? A lot.
Right, and in a period where the Republican Party, whether you buy it or not, has certainly, Blake, put an emphasis on grassroots organizing, on anti-Washington, right? So he's got that challenge. I want to play a little bit from the Right to Rise PAC, a video they made that calls him the undisputed jobs champ. And again, I'm going to guess they're not spending the money on the videos. They must be spending it on something else. But this struck me as kind of just weak, kind of conclusory, kind of just trust us, he's good at jobs. Take a look.
Yeah.
1.3 million net new jobs were created, more than Texas during those 8 years. We have to be young and dynamic and aspirational again for all the young people in this crowd to be able to get a job of purpose and meaning.
And it's just got the Jeb Bush superimposed and it's jobs, which do matter to people, but it doesn't make much more of an argument.
No, and I think, we really haven't mentioned the big bathroom painting elephant in the room, if you will, which is George W. Bush's brother, which is becoming a huge liability. And I think if you were to look at the problems he's had in many parts of this campaign, whether it's the Megyn Kelly question about Iraq or whether it's someone at an event asking him about ISIS and invoking the brother, I think part of the reason you see him overseas right now, just putting on my my former campaign aide lens, is of course you want to have your candidate kind of pass that commander-in-chief test, right? So you want them to be able to show that they're well-versed in foreign policy, but in particular, this candidate needs to show that there's distance between him and his brother, that he's got his own foreign policy around this. And the trip so far overseas, they went to Eastern Europe, Germany, kind of makes sense because there aren't that many places they can go overseas, honestly, where the Bush name is so good. With the Cold War ending.
I remember when he was in Europe, he said, "You may associate me with one Bush, my brother, but there was this other Bush who you used to love, my dad.
Exactly.
And please think of me as part of that Bush family." That was kind of the
really
subject.
seems to be making
your family member. Go ahead, David.
That seems to really be making lemonade out of lemons. Picking up on something else that Nick said earlier, it's hard for me to sort of figure out what Jeb Bush is. I almost said George Bush is. What Jeb Bush's theory of the case is. The Republican base has really moved very far to the right. It's it seems that they're still venting about Obama, and they want somebody who isn't a bipartisan social moderate who cares about education policy. They want somebody who's going to come in there and slap Obama around, or the Democrats, even if Obama's no longer there. And I don't think this Tea Party fever has yet burnt out. And if you look at everything that Bush has done to date, it shows that he doesn't really seem to believe that or realize that, and he's put in charge. His new campaign manager is a guy who's very good at sort of response reaction. So it's about incoming. It's not about what Bush is saying on the outgoing. So it's like we're being attacked. We don't know what to do. Let's put in a specialist about reacting, but still nothing proactive about what he's doing to penetrate and really capture his own party.
You're putting your finger on where this thing is going, which is that he, like his brother, and perhaps a little bit unlike George Bush Sr., who did fight the so-called wimp factor, as the magazines put it at the time, and you've written about this, David, Jeb does go tough. I want to play a little bit of an exchange he had with Tim Russert about an ad that was widely decried for being misleading that you've been writing about. Let's play that old clip.
Why do you continue to air the commercial, which is by your own admission misleading?
Well, first of all, the commercial is no longer being aired. It isn't because it completed. I would have kept it on for longer, but it was on for about a week, and that was enough. I'm not attacking Governor Childs' character. I do believe he has been a liberal on crime and soft on crime.
David, from what you've been reporting on, do you expect him to be really tough on these other candidates as they make this new shift?
Well, it's really interesting because the Washington Post piece today did say they were going to start attacking more, and that that was an attack on a Democrat who he accused basically of not executing a guy who had murdered and been found guilty of murdering a 10-year-old girl when the governor at the time, the fellow he was running against, had nothing to do with the date of execution. He just totally made up this argument and then had to acknowledge later that it was wrong and misleading. So he seems to have the capacity to go sharp on the attack, and it'll be very interesting to see how he does that within the Republican primary, where Republicans will invoke Ronald Reagan's 11th commandment. Thou shalt not attack another Republican.
David, did you not know how many original commandments there were?
You had to think about it.
Just wanted to give you a hard time at the end.